Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Firewood at the Furnace. My name is Brad, and today the 500i gets back to work. I know that we've talked on the live stream since we put this saw back together, and you saw in last week's video, what we had to do to get it done. But we're going to run it today, put it through its paces. Everything should be okay. I'm pretty confident with that, but we are going to run it and finish up cutting this pile of logs here that I'm standing next to, and make sure that everything is good to go. I've been concentrating on a lot of bundle wood lately, so this pile's been sitting here for a couple weeks. Been really hauling in a lot of dry, dead standing ash logs that you can see right over here that are next to the axis, trying to keep up with the bundle wood that is absolutely ripping out of the stand. So I'll show you around the yard. We've been doing a lot of deliveries too. It's getting pretty bare. Probably in the next week or two videos that you see, we're going to start constructing and reorganizing this yard and building these bins. So that's coming very, very soon, probably next week or the week after. We'll get started on that. So that's what's in store for today. Stick around, we'll talk about it. All right, so you can see in the background there that row obviously is gone, has been gone for a while. Let me get you around here a little bit without moving the camera around too much on you. But row 2, there's one cord sitting there, but row 2 is pretty much emptied. There is a face cord or a third of a cord sitting down there at the end, and then we've got a few more cords sitting over here that are still ordered and are going to be delivered. I've got two cords delivering. I'm delivering this week, and then I've got a cord and a half that is still on standby for when my customer is ready for it. And then we will see what's left. I might actually be able to advertise a half a cord or so for sale. I didn't want to oversell myself and not have enough wood to get to all my customers, but we're getting close to the end here. You see over in this corner behind the little landscaping trailer where those IBC totes are sitting, that is going to be the area where the first bin is going to go. So we're going to clear out these two rows, the rows next to the fence and the one next to that. We're going to get rid of all those pallets, and we'll start constructing our bin there probably, like I said, the next week or so. So let's get the 500i fired up. We'll run it through some paces here, knock the rest of this little pile out, and get it ready for splitting. All right, so you might have saw there a couple minutes ago when we first started the saw up that I pulled on the cord 2 times, I think, and it didn't engage with the flywheel. So I'm gonna have to open that up. Maybe we'll do that at the end of this video. We'll open the side cover up and take a look in there. There's 2 little cams that when you pull on that cord, they expand and they lock in to turn the motor over. So maybe when I backed over the handle, maybe one of those got damaged or something, or knocked loose. We'll have to open it up and see. Doesn't do it all the time, just every once in a while. But while I was cutting there, I was kind of thinking about something I saw on YouTube this past week. TKP, Timber Cutter Patriot, is not really a fan of the 500i. He's a Husky guy, and you know we always like to banter back and forth between Stihl and Husky, but they're both great saws. Let me just say that right up front. It's kind of like the Ford and Chevy debate, you know, whatever's in your heart or what you've grown up with is what you love. But he did a video on the 500i the other day. I think it was a short, and I'll link it here in this video so you can go over and check him out. He's a pretty cool dude. I met him at Paul Bunyan, and he's just a laid back, down to earth, just straight up kind of guy, which is something that I can appreciate. Somebody to just tell you like it is. If you don't want to hear the answer to the question, don't ask him, because he's going to tell you what you don't want to hear. That kind of guy, which is, I like those kind of people. But anyway, back to the topic. He did a video on the 500i saying one of the reasons he does not like the 500i is because when you pull the cord to start the saw, he likes to, you know, if somebody's in trouble or somebody is pinched under a log, he likes to be able to start the saw, go to the trigger, and go right to work. And the 500i, he says, if you do that, it bogs down and won't idle up. You have to wait a couple seconds. So I'm going to try that right now and see if that's true. I believe it is. I don't think he would have put it out if it wasn't true. But let's try it real quick, and I'll pull the cord and we'll go straight to the trigger. So that is true. He says that, you know, when you're ready to go to work, you should be able to start the saw and pull the trigger and go. Now, my response to that as a Stihl guy would be, okay, but every time you demonstrated that on your video, the saw started on the very first pull. So you're worried about a second or 2 delay pulling the trigger, but if you're running a Husky, how much time are you going to lose cranking and cranking until you get that bad boy to fire? Let me know, TKP. Well, there's never a doubt when you're cutting and all of a sudden your saw goes from cutting really good to not cutting at all. Or you go from making nice big wood chips to spraying yourself, I don't know if you can see that or not, with powder. My arms are just covered in wood powder because I've hit something, and I just cut this little nub off that one log that you saw. And I can't really tell. The only thing I see in this piece of wood is this little dot right here. And yep, that's metal. Tiny little nail. I just ran through with the saw, and now we gotta take a little break and get it sharp again. All right, there we go. That load's done. I tell you, when I use the 2-in-1 sharpener at the house, when the saw's in the vise, I get a really, really good edge on that saw. Cuts really, really good. And then when I ran into that metal earlier and just used a round file on it, kind of sitting between my legs, trying to just get a halfway decent edge back on the saw, it never cuts as good. So I don't enjoy cutting with a saw that's not sharpened correctly. So I didn't have an extra chain with me here today that was sharp, so I had to make do. But I'll go home now and get the saws in the vise, or get the saw in the vise and get that chain sharpened back up the way I like it for next time. Also, while we're at the house, we're gonna take the cover off of the 500i and see what, if anything, is going on in there. All right, we're back to the house. Let's pop these 4 bolts out and we'll see what, if anything's going on in here with this pull cord. It may not be anything because it didn't do it the rest of the day. But it's a little suspicious that right after I made my boo-boo that this started happening. So we'll just check out. Here's the cams that I was telling you about. So when you pull the cord, they expand. See how they come out? And then when you retract it, they go back in. And ideally, they both engage at the same time with the flywheel here, and that's what turns your motor over. So I see a little bit of like threads in here, and some black threads. Maybe that was just restricting them. Maybe something got sucked in through here and wound up knotted up inside this little spring. But everything's free, everything's attached the way it should. The spring is not bent. There's another piece of that little thread. So I don't know where that would have came from, but maybe that was just hindering it from operating like it should. So here's another piece down inside the flywheel here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Just a little piece of thread. I noticed some of that was on, here's another piece here, wrapped around the outside of this cover. So I don't know what that would have been or where that would have came from, but I guess it could have hindered the free operation of those cams. And I'm pretty convinced that that's all it was. So we'll put it back together and hopefully no more problems. So that is it for today. Give you a little shout of the beer fridge. Added a few after Paul Bunyan here. Country Roads, In the Woodyard, Tom's Firewood, Tammany Ridge. Can't remember, a couple other new ones on here somewhere. But I always like to show that off every once in a while, so if you're watching the channel, you can see your sticker on the beer fridge here. That's it for today. We'll be back next Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. With another video. So until then, I hope you all have a great week. Take care.